time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Good Wednesday evening, everybody, or later in the day, night, wherever you're at, because we cover the whole world. Welcome to another episode of the Voice of Indie podcast. I am your host, Beem Weeks, and this is show number 90. Show number 90. Tonight was supposed
Did we own the rights to that fanfare?
No, we didn't. That's why we're probably going to get a copyright strike. This is my co-host, Stephen Gies. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gies. Now, Kenneth Lindquist was supposed to be the guest tonight, but he had to back out. So we are having a return guest, a good friend of the show that anybody who listens to the show on a regular basis knows him, Mr. Verwayne Greenhoe. We will bring him in shortly, but 90. Stephen, can you believe we've done 90 of these things?
I was awake for most of them.
Yeah, Stephen had surgery, as most of you know, on his neck, so he's got a little of the, what they call it, mother's little helper.
Yeah. Yeah, if I start singing, we'll know what's going on. We had to postpone Kenneth Lindquist. We're putting out a series of books for him, how to teach driving, and it's for instructors around the country, for parents, other people who are interested, and we're making a few changes and adding a few things to them, beefing them up just a little bit more. So rather than have him on when the books aren't out yet, we're just going to push him back about another month or so probably, so that when the books are actually out, when he's on talking about them. So we're looking forward to having Kenneth Lindquist. If you missed last week's show and you didn't notice in the newsletter touting last week's show, I want to tell you we talked about food trucks with A.K. Wingler. And she's got a great book, How to Start and Run a Food Truck Business in Florida. And she was a lot of fun to talk to. She's seriously into food trucks. She knows what she's talking about. She's got the stories. She's got the facts. She's got the advice. She knows what's going on. And we also made an arrangement this week where we're going to launch a full series. And we're building her website right now. It's yourfoodtruckhowto.com. It's not up yet, but it will be very soon. And we're going to put out how to start and run a food truck business in Georgia, and then Alabama, and then Tennessee, and then Mississippi. And we're going to try to work our way across this great country and have a whole series of books and a great website that'll be dynamic so the people who are interested in food truck businesses can write in and talk to the experts. And we're going to see if we can sell a couple of books. So if you missed that show, hit the archives, get out there, listen to it. It's great. Okay,
now I'm looking at the screen here. Never mind, he's back. I was going to say our guest dropped off just a second ago. So I've got him on hold. So hopefully there's, because he has a dog and he was worried because church across the street was letting out, and it's a big dog and he's got a big voice, and so he was worried about the dog barking. But yeah, and another thing about A.K. Wingler's blog, her website, she's also starting a related blog to it too, and that'll probably run through her website the way my blog runs through my website and Stephen's through his. So keep an eye out for that. Now, listeners, if you want to join in the fun tonight and you got questions or comments for tonight's guest, Mr. Verwayne Greenhoe, you can do so by doing this.
Call 516-453-9902 right now with your questions or comments for tonight's guest. Or post a note on Twitter with hashtag Fresh Ink Group in the body of the tweet, and we'll read it on air. That's 516-453-9902 or hashtag Fresh Ink Group on Twitter.
All right. So
yeah.
Participate. We love the participation. That's what's cool about the audience. When they call in and they participate, it helps make the show even more entertaining.
Yeah, and it makes our guests get all excited, too. And sometimes they start getting this urge to give books away. And, you never know what's going to happen. Participate. Yeah. Let's get everything excited. I want to remind everybody that Robert G. Williscroft's The Ort Federation to the Stars, the second Ort Chronicle, is now out. It's in ebook, all the different ebook formats. It's in hardcover, a nice dust-jacketed edition. It's in soft cover. This is the sequel to the first Ort Chronicle, which is Icicle, a tensor matrix, which sold very well and is continuing to sell very well. So check those out. It's the first 2 books in the Ort Federation series by Robert G. Willis Croft, and they are both for sale now.
Yeah, and get over to YouTube because we have videos for both of those books. And you get over there, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. We're trying to build a platform, and only you can help us build the platform. And we're also currently hard at work on the audiobook for the Second Ort Federation, Second Ort Chronicle. But the Icicle audiobook is already out. So get over to Amazon and or wherever you get your audiobooks and get your copy of that, and keep an ear open for the Second Ort Federation. A lot of fun putting these together.
Yeah, definitely. And we get to put cat sound effects in as well. Now, I've been enjoying on show day getting over there and looking to see what's going on with our print bestsellers. And I've been telling you each week, what's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I want to point out that these are 30-day aggregates. So it's not like what has just sold in the past few days. It's what is riding high atop the pile over the last 30 days. So something might run strong for months, might only run strong for a couple of days, and then something will come up, push it down a notch or two, and kind of get on top of it. And that's been especially true with a couple of books, in particular, Hello, Chattanooga. Hello, Chattanooga is the 710-page chronicle of every famous person who visited, performed, or did something important in Chattanooga all the way back to 1900. And this book was compiled and written by David Carroll, who's a very well-known TV newscaster, radio broadcaster, newspaper columnist, and writes a local blog and has a bunch of other stuff, and he's a very popular speaker. He's got a full calendar all the time, being invited to come out and speak before groups. And that's his book, Hello, Chattanooga. And right now, that's in the 3rd and 5th slots for sales of our print books right now. And the numbers are equal. So he's selling, as of now, over the past 30 days, just as many hardcovers as he is selling soft covers, which is a bit unusual, and we're just giddy to say that. Now, in between those 2 slots, between 3 and 5, is number 4, and it's an entry that made the list last week, and that's Operation Ivy Bells, a Mac Mcdowell mission by Robert G. Willis Croft. And that is the first book in his Cold War submarine thriller adventure series, a Mac Mcdowell mission series. Operation Ivy Bells was the first book. The first 3 books are out now, and he's working on Operation Whiteout, the 4th book, which should be out probably sometime this summer at the rate this guy works. So that's the Mac Mcdowell Mission series. You should get over and check out that too, especially if you like Cold War thrillers, submarine books, that kind of manly U.S. Navy SEAL, get down there and fight the Russians underwater kind of story, which I do. I don't know who wouldn't. So yeah, that's a Mac Mcdowell Mission series. Now that brings us to what's in slots number 1 and 2 this week. Slots number 1 and 2 are both the same title, soft cover on top, hardcover just under it. The soft cover's outselling the hardcover about 3-1, and that's Eerie Charms of the Short Story, Fantasy, Mystery, and Horror by our own Fresh Ink Group member, Patricia A. Guthrie. So congratulations, Patricia. Eerie Charms of the Short Story. I'm seeing some very nice numbers here. And these are just the print. I'm not even looking at any ebook sales. So Eerie Charms of the Short Story, Fantasy, Mystery, and Horror by Patricia A. Guthrie, holding the number 1 and 2 slots.
And I read it. I did the editing on it, and it's a fantastic, fantastic collection of short stories. Patricia has an amazing imagination, and
she does.
If you're into the short stories, you're going to like this one. And I've got to, when I get some time, I've got a note that I've written to myself here to write a review for this. So I will be writing a review. Hopefully sometime by this weekend I'll have a review written for that, and I'll put that on my blog and put it elsewhere, and we'll go from there. Now, each of these books that Stephen just mentioned, we've got videos on YouTube for all of them, including the brand new Eerie Charms of the Short Story. So get over there and check it out. Plus, there's another video for all 3 novels in the Mac Mcdowell series. And we love putting these videos together. They're cool. They're more involved than a lot of book trailers in that we use voiceovers and music and great video footage and some cool graphics. And so get over there and take a look at them. And if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up.
And for an old scuba diver like me, while we're working on these videos, it's great. I get to, get out the mask and the buoyancy compensator and the tank and strap on so that we can go underwater and make a video.
Go underwater and film, yeah. You should see, what we have to go through to get up in space and shoot the video for that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out our YouTube channel, here's how you can do that.
Check out scores of Fresh Ink Group book trailers in the Fresh Ink Group channel on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and spread the word.
And if you want to keep up to date with what's going on in the world of the Voice of Indie podcast and Fresh Ink Group in general, this is how you can do that.
Stay on top of these podcasts and all things Fresh Ink Group with our weekly digital newsletter, new releases, videos, stories, excerpts, interviews, and more. Sign up now on the homepage of FreshInkGroup.com and be the one who knows what's what.
What?
Yeah, somebody probably owns that phrase, and we're getting deep in debt every time we say that. But, talking about audiobooks, we've been having a lot of fun with these lately. They're a lot of work. They take some time. We wish we could crank them out in a week or two, but we take our time, do them right, get all those sound effects, get the right music, find every place, and put a lot of time and effort into the editing. One of the things that's been fun for us lately is the biggest challenge is finding affordable talent who can do a really good job reading these. And we've been kind of shooting high. We've been going for actors, people with big IMDb pages and been in movies and TV shows and things like that. Because, if you don't go for it, you never find out if you're going to fall down. And what we're finding is some of these actors are really liking the idea of adding an audiobook or several to their IMDb pages. They like the credit. They want their names out there. They like to do the publicity in tandem with other things. Beem has mentioned before, Vivian Ahn, very popular Asian actress in Los Angeles with a nice IMDb page, is doing the Girl Wears Those Shoes readings right now. And this week we've just added Ethan Drew, a very popular young actor. Young man just turned 19, and he's doing Mad Max and Sweet Sarah, which is the third book in Ellie Collins's teenage Fresh Ink Group member Ellie Collins's Greek mythology fantasy series, young adult novels. And we've already got the first two audiobooks out with female narrators. And this one we managed to actually get Ethan Drew. Ethan Drew's got a very nice IMDb page. He's got his own YouTube channel, been putting his own videos on YouTube and getting millions of views. That's millions with an M. And, every time I look at those, I kind of fall off my chair and think, I'd get excited when I get a dozen, But, he's putting that stuff out there, and he's really working it. And he just filmed the movie Camp Hideout, starring Corbin Bleu and him. And also in the cast is Christopher Lloyd. Lloyd, who goes, he goes back to Cuckoo's Nest. A lot of people, younger people, think of him as, in the Back to the Future movies. But, for me, he's always going to be Reverend Jim in the Taxi series. Great actor. Anything Christopher Lloyd in is always fun. So we're really liking the idea of the synergy of when this movie comes out, and our narrator for Ellie's audiobook is out there making the rounds on shows like Entertainment Tonight, stuff like that, and he promises he will look for opportunities to mention the audiobook and help do some cross-pollination in the whole publicity department. Plus, we're already got plans. We're going to have him on the show with Ellie and do a podcast and try to get some young people to call in. But at any rate, just want everybody out there to think, audiobooks. There's some things that you can do. It's fun. It's not entirely inexpensive, but we're finding the low-cost ways to do them as best we can, and we're having some fun with this. So what do we got going in audiobooks now, Beem?
In production currently, we have the second work by Robert G. Willis-Croft. We have Girl Wears Those Shoes by Jenny Wong. We have Mad Max and Sweet Sarah by Ellie Collins, and With Angels Wings by Stephanie Collins. Ellie Collins' mama. So,
yeah, that's a long time, massive bestseller. We did not publish that. She published that herself before we even knew Stephanie or Ellie. This goes back, I think 10 years, and that book is still just, I hate to use a cliche like flying off the shelves, but if you stand there and watch, it flies. You swear you can see it fly. and the title is With Angel's Wings. But at any rate, that's going to be a fun audiobook to work on, too. So start thinking audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Now, if you miss an episode of the show, here's how you can catch it.
If you miss a show, find us in the archive in the Fresh Ink Group channel on YouTube, on Spotify, or under the podcast tab at freshinkgroup.com, beamweeks.com, and stephengs.com. On YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, if you have publishing needs, audiobooks, print, editing, you want a trailer made, whatever, we do those things, and here's how you can find out about that.
Ooh.
Check out freshinkgroup.com for everything publishing. Meet scores of authors. Discover hundreds of great books, plus audiobooks, podcasts, videos, trailers, free stories, free manuscript evaluations, and more. That's freshinkgroup.com.
All right. Let's get to our guest tonight. Born and raised, this is in his words. This is in the Verwayne point of view. So, born and raised on a small dairy farm in west central Michigan, I learned about life and death at an early age. I was lucky enough to have a loving and caring father who taught me about some of the more intricate ins and outs of living every day. I later became a medic, worked in a prison psych ward, and spent many years working in emergency rooms as an aide and then a nurse. These experiences gave me both the background and insight to write about many things. I have 24 audiobooks out that you can find over on Audible or on Amazon under my listing for prison books. I try to add a novella of 16,000 to 22,000 words every 2 or 3 months, and at least 2 to 3 40,000 plus word novels every year. 2021 was an exception. I developed a bad case of Parkinson's, and I couldn't get it under control enough to write well enough to do any serious writing. I encourage people to email me at verwayneauthor@gmail.com if they have questions or suggestions on anything I've written. And with that, welcome to the show, Mr. Verwayne Greenhoe, a longtime friend of the show. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. Beautiful night.
Good to have you. Where is it beautiful?
I'm in Madison, Florida. I call it the armpit of Florida.
The armpit of Florida.
I'm 1 hour due east of Tallahassee.
Okay, so are you up there in the?
You are up there in the armpit.
Panhandle?
Yeah.
I'm not quite in the arm, but right there in the bow. They call it Big Bend, I guess.
Yeah, the curve around the Gulf.
Yeah.
That's the armpit of Florida.
Yeah. Well, it's 80-something degrees in that armpit, and we had cold weather and snow for a couple of days here earlier this week. So
I don't miss it
in the armpit.
Well, I sent Verwayne pictures a couple of days ago of all my azaleas blooming around the house, and I'm telling you, they're spectacular. I got every color. We got bushes, some of them like 10 feet high, just covered with blooms, and trying to show off what Alabama looks like. Are you seeing pretty stuff down there this time of year, Verwayne?
Yes, I did. In fact, today, while I was out working in the yard, I found just an absolute beautiful flower. I mean, it was just a little, just stunning little flower. And I had to get my camera out. I got laying down on the ground. I'm sitting there getting real close to it. And my dog is going, "What are you doing?" And I'm going to post.
He thinks you don't know how to mark a flower, huh?
Exactly. And he's going, "That's not how you do that, boss. I don't know what you're doing there, but that ain't cool." So, I think I just posted that up on Twitter there for you. So,
you know what kind it was?
I'm not sure. Because it's only about the size of a 50-cent piece.
I see
and
it. The yellow thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
but you can see the stamens and pistil in there.
Yeah. Now, before we get going too far, let me throw out a couple of tweets here. Robert G. Willis-Cross, he says, looking forward to hearing Verwayne, as are we. And Marlena Smith, she's out there promoting the show tonight. She says, the Voice of Indie podcast is live. Join the hosts of Fresh Ink Group as they chat with author Verwayne Greenhoe. So
go Marlena.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marlena. And Verwayne and Marlena came back with Alabama Does do a lovely job with spring flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And get over to hashtag Fresh Ink Group on Twitter and take a look at the picture that Verwayne just shared with us. Beautiful flower. All right.
Huh.
So, Verwayne, you're living in Florida now. Why don't you tell the listeners that may not be familiar with you, where have you lived in the past? And
I was born and raised in by car. I was born and raised in western central Michigan, and stayed there for the longest time. And that's where I did most of that other stuff. And then in 2006, my wife became a traveling nurse, and we were all over. I think we were in like 17 different cities in Florida, from Miami to Ocala to Tampa, Port St. Lucie, you name it. Then we went to California, and we lived in San Jose, but which is just a spit distance from San Francisco. So I was all over there, and but she was a traveling nurse for like 7-8 years, and we moved every 90 days. We literally lived in a box. So
wow,
everything had to go, and what we had to go went in the back of my Buick Park Avenue. So,
and the place you're in now, the place you're in now needed a little bit of work. You're having some fun with that.
Oh yes, we lived in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I was within 20 miles of Lake Superior, and that was just absolutely beautiful. I love tramping through the Hiawatha National Forest there. And then we came down here because I'm going, I'm too old for shoveling snow anymore. So we came down here just before Christmas. We left. It was a 19-hour drive from Newberry, Michigan, all the way down here to Madison. 19 hours.
Wow.
Go straight through. I like driving, so it wasn't really a problem. But we got down here to Madison, Florida.
It's like 18 hours from Newberry just to the bottom of Michigan. I mean, that's a long trip.
That's a long drive, let me tell you. But we got down here, stole this property. I bought this I think it's about half an acre lot here for $20,000. And since then, I've had at least 4 people come up going, I'd double your money on that. In fact, one guy says, I'll give you $55,000. Here's a check. You can go down and cash it, at the Wells Fargo. And I'm going, that's telling me something. I should stay here. So, But the place needed a lot of work. We're going through and sprucing it up, and it's going to take I figure it's going to be October before I'm done here, but it gives me something to do while I'm doing it. I can think of what I should be writing about. So.
Yeah, this is a lot of inside work where you can, in the hot summer, you'd be a little air conditioned at least and take your time.
We were, my brother and I spent my brother came down here. My brother had an unusual lung disease, a very rare lung disease. He had a double lung transplant in January of 2020.
Wow.
And he survived. He's an A negative, and he ended up getting almost an exactly perfect donor. God was with him on that, and he ended up very few side effects, and he went from about 89, 90 pounds to he's about 125, 130 pounds now. Looking very good, and we're having fun down here. He was the youngest in the family. I was the oldest, so we got in between there. I didn't get to see him because I was out of the house by the time he was 6 or 7, and I was gone. So it's been nice getting to know him. So
Oh, that's cool.
So we've had a lot of fun. But we spent the first month under this thing going through and making sure that all the beams were, because the place is 100 years old, and we went through and reinforced all the beams. It's just been a good time. So,
cool.
But
well, Verwayne,
it's,
I got to tell you, I've been
yes,
studying your flower. I'm pretty good with flowers. I don't know this one, but there's one thing about this one that just keeps striking me, and that it looks like it's made out of yellow sporks.
Exactly.
You know what a spork is? Like a plastic spoon
yes,
with a
I do.
little piece sticking out of it. I mean, the more I look at this thing, it looks like people cut up some sporks and dyed them yellow and made this flower. It's a very pretty flower, but man, I don't know this flower, but I'm designating it the spork flower. We'll call it the Verwayne spork flower. And if anybody gets over there on Twitter and can tell us what that flower is, then I'll give them a Stephen G's book. Just tweet it out, put #Fresh Ink Group in there, tell us the name of that flower, and if you're correct, don't just make something up. Yeah, it's the spork flower. I recognize it too.
It's the Florida spork.
Yeah, the Florida spork. So, hey, there's a free Stephen G's book out there. Pick which one you like. But, yeah, that's pretty cool when our guests can just put stuff right on Twitter and show us things while we're talking.
Yeah.
Now,
I've been on the internet since 1988. So.
Wow. All three of you back then were on it, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, Verwayne, we've talked to you a lot before. A lot of our listeners are kind of familiar with you and know some of your story, and they've heard about some of your books and stuff. There's a lot of other things that we've talked about, too, that we haven't talked about on the show. And one thing in particular, you've talked about mistakes that you've made, being a writer and being in the writing business and publishing and all that kind of stuff. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? What kind of mistakes have you made? Have you got some cautionary tales? What have you learned from the business? And try to do it in 10 seconds or less, if you would.
Exactly. I went through and I did all the editing I could do. It had this fairly decent looking thing. I put it up there. And then I'm going, oh, man, I wanted to, and it was up there. And I'm going, man, I downloaded it and read it myself. And I'm going, man, I forgot to add this and this and this. And I put it up there. And all of a sudden, all my 5-star ratings started getting 3s and 4s. And I'm, error. Well, no, what are you talking about? And I go up there and I bought it under somebody else's name. And I'm going, holy cow. Well, it turned out what I had done, every time, one book in particular, I had 17 different working copies of that same manuscript. So when I did a quick search on my computer, going pull up this file, I went in, made the change I wanted to make, and then re-uploaded. But I re-uploaded a raw file, nothing that had ever been edited, ever. Basically, it was my working file that just ended up in half a dozen different folders. So I learned the hard way. In fact, I did that on several books. Things my father taught me. I uploaded the wrong thing, and all of a sudden, I had all 5, and the next thing you know, I'm going, something's wrong here. And I went up and I looked at it, and I got sick to my stomach when I saw what I'd done. So what I've done now is I created a master folder. It says, actually, I load everything up to Dropbox. So it says Dropbox file. So I went up there, things my father taught me. I made sure I got the proper version of it, put it in there along with all the photos and covers and everything for that thing. And I put it in there, and I went through, and every book that I've done now has a working file of everything that I did, and so that. And then I go through, and everything that's not in that file, I throw away. I keep one copy, and I throw it all away. Everything else. I was going to ask you,
what was the purpose behind having so many working files? Because what I have one working file that I'm writing in, but I always make a duplicate copy of that one onto a separate drive that's I put it down there, then I unplug it from the computer. So just in case something happens, I've got the backup file. But I've never had 7 working files. What was the purpose behind that?
Stupidity.
Okay.
Plain and simple. I was stupid. I didn't realize what I had done wrong.
Verwayne, in all fairness, too, wasn't this a time in your life, too, when, you know, things were kind of hard and you were dealing with losing Judy and things like that as well?
Exactly. I mean, I could give you 300 excuses, but an excuse is exactly that, an excuse.
Well, yeah, but it's a reason.
Yeah, sometimes an excuse is a valid reason. The dog ate my homework, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're protecting your work, and especially like in my case, I've got the work of so many of our authors and clients and stuff too. So I like the instant backup. I've got a 14 terabyte helium drive that's plugged right into my router, and then I use ThinkBack Pro software. And I send, every time I hit save, I send a copy of it to that helium, a backup copy to that helium drive, plus I send one to the cloud. And then later on, when the project's finished, I'm going to do all the files to a different cloud storage place too, so that with ThinkBack Pro, you can program it so that it compares files and replaces them if it's a newer date or updated or things like that. So it makes the right choices so that all of your backups are also safe too. So people out there, you're talking to 3 people right now who have 3 different systems. What matters is that you get your own and keep it together, keep it tight, and don't lose your work.
A backup is important because one of the 2 novels I'm working on now, I had, I think, 3 or 4 chapters done, and it was on my computer, and then it disappeared. I have no idea where it went to. It's gone. Did a searched the entire thing, and something happened, and it got deleted, so I had to start from scratch. But I had the first few chapters already written. It was, first of all, it's outlined, so I can go back to that. But the first few chapters, I actually started writing by hand, and so I had that. I was able to go back to it, but never again. I'm going to have a backup, always.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. And I email myself stuff. I have multiple Gmail accounts, and I email myself. And I email myself stuff, and then I put everything up to Dropbox for like $15 a month. I got something like 10 terabytes, something like that.
Oh, that's a pretty good price. We favor Google Drive. You can get a couple of terabytes for $2 a month from Google Drive, or it's like $10 a month for 10 terabytes.
Yeah, I think I pay like 19 something a year, so I mean it's cheap.
And someday you're going to have a big fat folder full of photos of the famous Floraspork flower too. So make sure you back all those up.
I'm big into photography. I just uploaded just inside my Dropbox folder. It's labeled Dropbox folder, and I have it set to auto sync. Anytime I add something new or change something in that, it auto syncs everything up to Dropbox.
All right.
And you can see everything that's. All those are pictures. I mean, all those folders are stories that have everything inside of it, and you can see where I keep everything. So
cool. So, now, Beem, we've been a bit lax on the commercials here. You want to run a couple back to back and get back and talk to Verwayne some more?
Yeah, and let's not forget we got a caller on the line as well. So
okay, let's do these, and then we'll take our call and see what comes of it.
All right. Now, this first commercial is going to be for a Wingler's food truck we had around last week.
Brand new video over on YouTube.
With good jobs so hard to find, especially in rapidly expanding Florida, owning your own food truck could be the best option. It's the least expensive startup, and you can be fully operational in mere months. The rules and regulations can be a bit complex, and no single source has offered all the answers. Until now. How to start and run your own food truck business in Florida by food truck veteran A.K. Wingler is the step-by-step guide that takes you from good idea to great success. Sure, it's hard work, but exciting, mobile, flexible, and highly profitable. And you get to be your own boss and set your own hours. Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group, this book tells you how and where to make money in this exploding independent industry. Grab your copy in laminated hardcover, glossy softcover, or any of the major ebook formats at retailers worldwide. Even if you're just curious for now, this guide is the best way to discover if a food truck business is right for you.
All right. Do another one?
Yeah, let's do Eerie Charms. Patricia A. Guthrie, one of our favorite writers.
Lucifer loses his day job, so he starts his own gig. A little girl's tantrum destroys her toys, but will they lash out in revenge? Can a miserable housewife find a new life for herself in a tear-stained old painting? Eerie Charms of the short story, fantasy, mystery, and horror includes a snake deciding the fate of the world, a slot machine choosing life's winners and losers, a malevolent fairy dancing men to their deaths, a couple desperate to escape a train station, the dog show judge facing death, and more great tales. Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group, Eerie Charms is available worldwide in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Patricia A. Guthrie offers a cauldron of eerie delights that will please, delight, and yet terrify you.
Fun book to read, fun video to make, and our number 1 and 2 print bestsellers so far this month. Congratulations, Patricia Guthrie.
Let's go to the phone caller here. Hi, Patricia A. Guthrie.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Hi, Pat.
I'm doing well, thank you, especially after that last commercial.
Oh, yeah. Have you read that book yet, Pat?
Yeah, about 100,000 times. Oh, yeah. It was fun. Took a long time to put it all together, but it was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was fun to edit it. It was phenomenal stories. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get a review of it written by this weekend. So keep an eye out for that one.
Fabulous.
So Pat, what do you think of this Verwayne Greenhoe guy? I hear he writes too.
Oh my gosh, yes, he certainly does. I've been looking at this ORT Chronicles, the ORT Chronicles with Brad Thornton.
Yeah. Those are Robert G. Williscroft novels.
Okay. Let me throw a few of these tweets in here because this is going back to the spork flower. Marlena Smith, she says, according to Google image search, good luck on pronouncing, it's a Phearhoppus carolinius. All right.
Huh.
Commonly called Carolina desert chicory. And Joe Conjo, he says, my answer for the kind of flower is it's a pretty flower. Does that count as a kind of flower?
I think it does. I'm making the rules. Yeah.
All right.
Now, Marlena and Joe. In fact, Joe, you just hit me up for a book a couple of weeks ago. I like your style. So go to freshinkgroup.com, hit the contact form, and give me your mailing address, your name and mailing address, and which of Stephen G's books you would like. And boy, giving away 2 books so far today. Maybe we can talk Verwayne into giving away some books too.
Yeah, speaking of Verwayne, he posted on Twitter here his Dropbox folder. So if you want to see what his Dropbox looks like, it's there on. Go to #FreshInkGroup right there at the top.
Man, that's full.
Yeah,
that's full. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Verwayne.
Yeah.
So everything is auto synced to Dropbox. So. Great.
Fantastic.
So I understand that you're not so much of a Grammarly fan anymore, Verwayne.
No, sir. You made a comment on one of these podcasts that you said I can always tell somebody when they're using Grammarly because their stuff is wrong. And I'm going, no, that's not, because I've been using Grammarly since 2015, and I've had well over 3 million words checked to there. And I sit there and I'm going, what is he talking about? And then I happen to write, I heartily recommend this. It's called ProWritingAid.com. It's half the price of of Grammarly, and I really like it. I'm in the process right now of going back to and running everything I've ever written. My bestsellers, I'm running those through first. In fact, I just redid the Murders on Staines Road. I just got that all done, running it all through there. But it's a massive difference. It takes a minute to go through and figure it out, but I now see exactly what you were saying. Grammarly, well, I hope nobody from Grammarly is listening. Grammarly sucks compared to this other one.
Well,
and
I mean, it is a valuable tool in a lot of ways, but it does have its limitations.
Yes,
you remember back in the early days of spell checking, and it's somebody say she yelled until she was HORSE, because spell checkers didn't understand the difference, and that's the way Grammarly is a lot of times. It's like, okay, it thinks it knows what you want to do, so it tells you the right way to do it, except that what you were trying to do was one of the three exceptions. And Grammarly doesn't know those three exceptions. It just looks for whatever is the common way to do it. And like I say, they're easy to spot because we get manuscripts and they're almost always obvious if they've run it through Grammarly, because it has taken things that they might have had right and actually made them wrong. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad thing, because if you do need some help, it's a good place to get some help. I just wouldn't rely on it. It's not the final say on whether or not she's HORSE from yelling too much. So Pro Writing Aid.
Stupid, but...
Yeah, ProWritingAid.com is where they can find it.
Yes. And if you use Honey, which if you're on Amazon much at all, Honey is a thing where I saved 20%. It was normally like I think it was $79.95, and I ended up paying $61 something for it because Honey gave me 20% off.
Honey is one of those services that searches for promo codes and things like that, and then automatically applies them for you. So if there's a deal out there, they take you to that deal. That's there's a lot to be said for that.
But I'm a big fan of Pro Writing Aid.
Good advice.
Pro
Writing Aid.
Yeah, Pro Writing Aid.
AID.com.
I can give you the link. I can post the link there if you'd like.
Hey, throw it out there on Twitter.
Yeah. And Pat lives in Chicago, so next time you're in Chicago, you can drop it off. So Pat, did you have any questions for Verwayne, or you just want to throw things at him, or congratulate him on the Florist work?
Yeah, I did. I just want to know if I got the name right.
It's Verwayne. It's a cross between Vernon and Verwayne.
I'm talking about the title of the book.
Okay.
That kind of threw me. Is he the one with the ice protagonist, or did I get that wrong? Do I have the wrong author?
That's Robert. That's Robert.
Yeah, Robert G. Williscroft. His Orc Chronicles series is Icicle, and then the second one, Icicle, A Tenture Matrix, and then the second one is the Orc Federation to the Stars.
I have no idea why I mixed those up. I'm so sorry.
That's okay, Pat. We got authors laying all over the place here.
It's all Fresh Ink Group.
Pulled me out of the corner. So.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into this Pro Writing Aid, though. So.
Yeah, do check that out. Now, Pat, Verwayne, don't you have a free story that's available over on Amazon for somebody like Pat that could check out?
Yes, it's my brand new short story. It's only 2,900 words, but it was a true incident that happened in November 1974, and I was a paramedic, and I was well seasoned and all that good stuff, and I just happened to be there, and we got to a massive 2-car accident, a van that had like 10, 15 people in it. Bad. And they made a left-hand turn in front of a man in a 73 Ford Maverick. And if you remember the interior of that, the old Maverick came up and had a over on the passenger side, a strip about an inch wide where it come right up and had a flat surface there. And the wife, when they hit that, she hit her head against that, and it pushed her skull back about 2 inches. And she lived. She lived for another 8 months. She spent like 6 weeks in the hospital, but she lived. But the story was about this man was about 6'6", and if you remember the Maverick, it was a very small car, a little bit bigger than the smaller than bigger than the Chevette, but
just barely. That and the Comet,
Yes, he had his legs were just severely mangled, and it was a clutched car, so he had his legs weaved in and around through the clutch, the brake. And he had what in the medical field is called flail chest, where your definition changes, but flail chest is where 3 or more consecutive ribs are broken, because your rib cage protects your lungs, but it also gives point of attachment for the muscles that make you take that big deep breath in. It pulls the diaphragm down, which causes air to move in. The diaphragm relaxes, and everything comes out. He had a massive flail chest, and he recognized we had the misfortune of having another massive accident about where heavy rescue was 10 miles away. So we had 4 ambulances there, and they took everybody else. And the name of the thing is 21 minutes. And everybody left me. The police were still there on the scene, but I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this man. And if you're going, I have a hard time talking to strangers. I always told people, try talking to a stranger who knows he is dying. What do you say to a man that knows he is dying? And there's nothing you can do about it. And I learned to, and as I wrote in the book, I was talking to him, and he says, I guess this means I'm going to miss the Michigan-Ohio State game. and he caught me off, and I laughed, but I referenced that game too. But the things that I learned, I learned I don't want to say I became a man that day, but I became much more mature from the 21 minutes I spent talking with that man.
Wow.
And, the things that he said to me as he was dying, that's what that story is about.
It's a compelling
right now
story.
It's free.
Yeah, it's compelling. I just read it yesterday, and it's kind of hard for somebody who just was trying to put his own broken hands back together while hanging out a car. It's like flashback, and you just can't imagine what that would be like to be in that situation. And for you, I mean, look how much you had to learn about yourself while you were learning about him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. With some of the biggest life-changing events are such a short window, 21 minutes. Some of them are even less than that, but they're life-changing.
Yeah. I really want to read it. It sounds.
Verwayne, title again
on Twitter. 21 minutes.
21 minutes by Verwayne Greenhoe, and free on Amazon.
I'm going to put through Friday. It's free on Amazon. I'm going to put the URL up there, up on Twitter right now.
Okay.
With that Fresh Ink Group promote my stuff. Yes, sir. It's right there. I always have Fresh Ink Group. So.
And speaking of Twitter, I'm going to throw a couple more of these tweets out here. Marlena says, I think Beem deserves a prize for the pronunciation. Yeah, I thought I kind of mangled it. But I'll take a prize.
I like Flora Fork.
Yeah, Robert Williscroft, he says the flower is Hopapus Carolina Desert Chicory, but he says it's also called a Texas dandelion.
It does look dandelionish.
Texas Fork dandelion.
Really?
Well, I'm feeling magnanimous. That's 3 books I'm giving away. If you want to pick one, Robert.
All right.
Yeah. So how about you, Verwayne? You want to give away some books?
Sure. Now, I've just ordered these to be printed, but a book I just finished using the Pro Writing Aid, The Murders on Staines Road. Now, this isn't... I got told by a gentleman who had got out of prison, he says, if you want to sell a believable story about a prisoner or a murderer, he says, you can't have him talking like, gee, Beaver, geez, Wally, you hurt that guy. So
gosh darn it.
Yeah, golly gee whiz, Wally, I'm going to tell Dad.
Yeah.
But he says you can't use that kind of language. He says you have to use the word murderers use. And like I said, I worked in the psych ward of a prison for a long time, and my job was to go in, and the warden told me, he says, I'm hiring 9 guys for muscle and 1 guy for brain. He said, do you lift weight? And I said, no. He says, so you know what you're here for.
Yeah.
But my thing was to go, these guys would go in, lock themselves into their house, which they call a prison cell is a house. They would go in and lock themselves in and not come out. And my job was to go down there and talk to them, get them to begin to come out and socialize again. So running some really, that's where I got a lot of my characters for some of my murder stuff is from this one. And
so in other words, you're saying there's some profanity in
bad
the
language.
Yeah,
exactly. Bad language.
I mean, if you're writing something and it's going to be real, you're not going to have like some thug saying, "Hey, you big stupid dummy head." He's going to say some things that would get.
And this is based on a true murder story, right?
Right. Right. This happened. Well, it's like the one from my Vela. That happened about 5 miles from where I grew up, and this story happened about 15 miles south of where I grew up. So I knew the area. So it was interesting to be able to write about things that I actually saw. I was living during those things.
So you're willing to give away a couple of copies of that?
Like I said, Mom, I ordered 25 of them from Amazon. I'll give away 5.
Ooh,
all right.
Okay,
books,
well then
everybody.
that would. Yeah, if you want to tweet and ask for one, put #Fresh Ink Group in there, but we'd still need your mailing address for Verwayne, so use the contact form at freshinkgroup.com. Let us know, and Verwayne's giving away a couple of, at least 5. Who knows? Depends on what kind of mood you find him in. Copies of the murder book. Now, what about an audiobook? Do you have a promo code for an audiobook?
Yes, I have several promo codes for Finding Myself Again for both the UK and for the US.
Classic Verwayne.
So I was very honored when Beem gave that 5 stars. I couldn't believe it. So,
well, it was a good book, good read.
But that was all based on true things. So, but
cool.
It's a 3 to 3.5 hour audio book, and it's done by a husband and wife team out of Delaware. And the voice was. I keep stables of. I do auditions out on Audible or on ACX, and I'll get all these things. I'm going, I like this voice, but not for this project. So I'll save that, and I'll contact them and go, hey, would you be willing to think about doing this? So, but the gentleman and his wife who did that have done several stories for me, and I like their voice.
Terrific. So, if somebody's interested in an audiobook, a free audiobook, make yourself known and make sure we have your information. For that, of course, you would need an email address, right, Verwayne?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
They want to send me, they can email me, verwayneauthor@gmail.com.
Correct.
My other one is BMOC, Bald Man on Computer 66 @gmail. So,
okay. And of course, if you forget those, use that contact form at Fresh Ink Group. We'll make sure we pass it along to Verwayne.
Yeah. Now, over on Twitter, Marlena Smith has posted a comment. She says, I feel like this has been a huge topic lately. I want to read a story that puts me there, even if the language or circumstances are uncomfortable. It's realistic, and that's so important. And I agree with you, Marlena. That's if it's real, if it's gritty, the guy isn't going to come in with a gun, and calling the guy, like I said, a big stupid dummy head. He's going to beep, 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 beep. So,
this
you don't want to do
book is written
overkill,
from a half dozen different viewpoints.
There you go.
Okay.
Everybody's going to have their own point of view.
From the bad guy, from the sheriff's department, the police department, and the young couple that ends up meeting this dude. I mean, there's a lot of intersection, and I do one with the bad guy, one with the young couple, and it just keeps going back and forth. And the title where they all, or the chapter title where they all meet, is called Convergence, where everybody converges at the same place at the same time.
Okay.
Kind of sounds like the movie Crash, where you got all these different storylines and then they kind of converge.
Great movie.
Yeah.
But that's been my best done murder book so far. So.
All right, so Beem, you want to roll another commercial here real quick? Skip that next one and just go to the series. Everybody, we've got Verwayne Greenhoe on. We've got Patricia A. Guthrie on the phone. You got your hosts, Beem Weeks and Stephen G's. And now we're going to learn about a very cool series from Robert G. Williscroft.
Now, from Fresh Ink Group and best-selling author Robert G. Williscroft, the Mac Mcdowell Mission Series. With a security clearance above top secret, Saturation Dive Team Officer in Charge Mac Mcdowell leads his team into critical Cold War counter-Soviet missions. Watch Mac prove what brave men can achieve under real pressure, the kind that will steal your air and crush the life out of you. In Operation Ivy Bells, it's the summer of 1972 when Mac and his off-the-books Deepwater Espionage Group are conducting a daring undersea wiretapping operation to gather Russian intel and avert World War. Join nuclear submariner Mac Mcdowell for extreme diving, a battle with giant squid, and more as he risks everything in the most dangerous operation yet. In Operation Icebreaker, Mac Mcdowell is leading his submarine team for a mission to lay SOSUS arrays under the Arctic ice when they clash with a highly automated Alpha-class Soviet submarine. Overwhelmed by mechanical problems, the Soviet crew abandons their sub near Point Barrow, Alaska. The skipper launches DSR-V-1 Mystic so Mac and his crew can board the empty sub and gather intelligence. The arrival of an even more advanced Soviet sub leads to breathtaking underwater clashes, with the specter of war looming. Will Mac and his crew be sunk by the Soviets, or will they safely return to Alaska, where Mac's new love, Kate, anxiously waits? In Operation Arctic Sting, Mac Mcdowell and his team capture the abandoned Soviet sub. Piloting their prize through the ice pack to the U.S. East Coast, they must evade or confront other Soviet subs trying to recover the ship or sink it. Breathtaking deep-sea clashes erupt, including hand-to-hand combat with Soviet Morskoy Spetsnaz divers under the ice. Too far from Toothus to escape, the Americans are accosted by a 5-ton orca. Will Mac's ship survive long enough to reach friendly waters, or will the men become just another meal for a deadly whale? The McDowell Mission series by Robert G. Williscroft is available worldwide in jacketed hardcovers, paperbacks, ebooks from Kindle to Nook and Kobo and more, plus exclusive audiobook editions with music and sound effects. The Mac McDowell Mission series is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Take a breath and dive in for thrilling submarine adventures in every Mac McDowell mission.
All right, and the first book in that series is our number 4 print bestseller so far this week. So people are liking it. Get out there and check that series out.
Definitely.
So Verwayne, I'm not very familiar with Vela. I know some of our listeners are, and some of them probably aren't. Why don't you tell us what your experience with Vela is, what you think of it, and how it's worked out for you?
When the Vela very first came out, its intended platform was for people who use cell phones. Because I have to have a desktop, but I see people going, well, they're reading. But it was meant for you could read on your cell phone. Well, now they've expanded out. You can read on the computer, on your Kindle, whatever. But I put some stuff out, and it didn't get any traction at all. So I kind of quit doing it. And then I'm going, okay, I'm going to post this up here. I came back. I abandoned it for a year. I made like $10, in a year off that one thing. I had 8-10 things up on posts. Vella, you go through, you have to have between 600 and 5,000 words. It's like doing chapter books. You put your 6,000 or your 600 and plus words on, and you call it an episode, and you post it. And then you just keep going through. The first 3 episodes are free to the reader because nobody wants to. I mean, this way you're not going, I wouldn't. I see reviews going, I wouldn't, I'd rather take a beating from a stick, with a baseball bat than read this again. That'll let you go through and you're going, okay. But the 4th one, you have credits. And right now, I do believe Amazon is giving away credits. You go up there and you want to go to a Vella, and it will let you begin to read. The first 3, I'm doing a thing that's called In the Marsh, and it's based on a murder that happened about 5 miles from where I grew up. In fact, one of the things I mentioned is it's between a motocross and a racetrack. Well, I worked at both of those places. I served as a medic at the motocross where they ended up finding this woman's body, and at the racetrack, I've worked there for 33 years. I still work there, and so, but it's called In the Marsh. But anyway, I began to put In the Marsh up there just solely because I wanted to make it begin to move, and that way I could see it. And I was saving it and all that good stuff. And all of a sudden, I get an email from Amazon going, you made $83 last month. And that was February. And I'm going, So I just kept posting. Then I sent you guys a copy of that, and I made, $240 or something like that last month, just posting on just that one book. And it's not even complete. I've got 24 chapters up there, episodes up there now that relate basically to 23,000 words, and it just continues to sell. And I'm getting emails from people going, I like this. So I'm really, maybe it took everybody, maybe the readers are going, Bella, I don't know. And I know a lot of authors going, Bella, that looks stupid to me. Well, that was my initial thing. But now, I set up today. I found a story idea I'd thrown away out in 2017. I happened to find it again. And I'm going, I can do something with that. And I've got it set up and ready to go. And I will begin to make posts in it here shortly. And
there's no cost to the author at all to do that?
No. And, but, if you go up, I don't know where I would go. I can find the link to on Amazon here, and I'll post that real quick. But it's took right off for me, and I'm really happy with it. And but you can go up there now. I've got 2 of them going right now, and I'm going to have a 3rd, and it's been very interesting to me. So
it sounds like another way to cast your net.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting because it's like you're in the process of writing a book, and you can post your chapters, although they call them episodes there. Post your chapters up there for people to read, and you're getting paid for that while you're still writing the book, and you're getting feedback on the book as you're writing it. And then when it's done, you can post it up to Amazon. That's kind of a different way to do it, but
you have to
take
it. Cool way. You have to take it off Vella before you can put it up on Amazon.
Okay. Well, by then you've already made some money off of it.
It's a way to cast your net. I mean, you're always looking for new readers, new fans, people who will remember your name, people who will like your writing and go looking for other stuff that you've written. And a lot of people, if they're spending their time at Vella, you got to go to them in order to find them. Not everybody shops at Amazon or only thinks Amazon when it's time to get a book. So that's definitely a terrific idea. And picking up a couple $100 a month on top of that just for one work that's in progress, boy, that's gravy.
And I'm simultaneously having this done as an Audible book at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And so that shortly after I get that set to go, I can, book and Audible's all done.
So what you're saying then is that you're lazy and you don't ever get any of your work out there where people can find it, huh?
No, I have this thing that says, my mind, basically it says my brain won't shut up. And,
I like that.
What is it? It says I write simply because there's a voice inside me that will not be still.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter. No. I'm going down the road and I'm writing in my head.
Verwayne, on Twitter, Joe Conjal has a question for you. He says, he's asking, does Vella progress show on KDP reports?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay.
I mean, and when you go up to the KDP, just a second, let me not do that on this page. Let me do it over here. I always have a dozen pages up open going down here. But if you go over there to reports and then do the new KDP reports beta, whatever you want to call it, and then you go in there and it'll begin to show you your what you've done in Vella. It shows you what you've done today. In fact, it tells me just going in there that I've given away, since I announced that, I've given away 12 copies of 21 Minutes. But it tells me all that stuff. But when you do that, it has a thing here for, over on the far left, it has a thing that says Kindle Vella, and it has a new dashboard. And then it goes through and begins to tell you everything that you have, that what you've sold, and in fact, it shows you what you've made off that. In February, I made 82.89, and in March it was 217.30, and it shows you how much I've made. Right down. You can fix it for a week, just like Audible. You can narrow what you've sold in the last week, and I'm finding my Audible stuff making me a lot more money than my ebook stuff. So,
ooh,
fantastic!
That's a big get too. Yeah.
I have 24 Audible books up. 5 of them are being revoiced, but I also have 4 in progress by other people.
Cool. Is Patricia Guthrie still on the line? You out there, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried Vella?
No, I've never heard of it before.
Like I said, I know very little about it.
Yeah.
Huh?
I will go back over here and post, I don't know what it'll pull up on your computer, but I will post the link to get into where you can see the Vella stuff.
Now, listeners, if you want to check these tweets out, go to Twitter and then search #FreshInkGroup and then click the tab that says latest. And you'll see all of these tweets will pop up just as they're being posted. And you can see the florist fork, too, if you scroll down a little bit. I'm sitting here looking at it now. That's a pretty flower.
Hey, that's a Texas dandelion.
No, it's a florist fork.
But I'm finding that Vella and Audible are making me, I don't want to say a lot of money, but I can, just off the sales of this, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of lumber to work on my house.
All right,
that's cool.
Yeah. Now, Pat Guthrie earlier today used the word audiobook in a conversation with me, so her head's spinning. She's thinking. I think we might see some Guthrie audiobooks in the future.
If you don't have Stephen Stephen and Beem do it, if you would end up going and getting your own, like I said, I run my auditions for 14 days, and then I'm going, okay, I like that voice, not for this book, and I'll send them a note going, hey, would you consider voicing a different one for me? That's how I found in a lot of these people, I started using them, and I used the same one several times.
And, of course, if you go through Stephen and Beem, we get the movie stars, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Julia Roberts. I mean, you know, whoever you want. We can throw out names all day. Doesn't mean we'll get them. Yeah. We can always try.
As soon as Johnny Depp finishes up with his court case.
Yeah.
Exactly. My guy right now is Brian Moriarty. Brian's doing a lot of stuff for me right now.
Oh, cool.
And he's doing the one for 21 minutes. That should be up and done here shortly.
Well, Verwayne, we're running down on the time here. Do you have any other advice for authors out there?
Keep at it. Write every day. If you're on the road, you're not driving, your cell phone should have a voice to text thing. Open up your email and start writing down. I do a lot of stuff. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm going, oh man, that's a cool line.
Hey, Pooch.
Hey, there he is.
That's Buster.
Just did that the other day, Verwayne. A couple nights ago, I did that. Woke up in the middle of the night with a line that I was trying to think of a line and started to fall asleep. And this line came to me as I was falling asleep. Got up and ended up emailing it to myself on my phone for the book that I'm.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Charles Dickens used to do that, I think.
On his cell phone?
Yeah, on his cell phone.
Yeah.
See, now, I told you I used to do stand-up. I wanted to throw this in here because you'll like it. Some of y'all know I'm a writer, but I bet you didn't know I invented a new word. I pronounce it plagiarism.
All right, Verwayne, tell us again how to find you out there. A couple of email addresses?
Yep. I'm at Verwayne Author on Twitter. Facebook is just Verwayne Greenhoe. I up on Vella, but if you just go up there on Amazon, I think it pulls up everything that I've done. And I'm on. I think I know I am. I'm up on Fresh Ink Group. You can find me there. The gentleman did me a really nice version of 2-minute video of finding myself again, and I appreciated that. That was really nice.
Fun to do.
But yep. But it's VerwayneAuthor@gmail.com. I have my cell phone with me all the time. I answer my emails right away. So.
All right, then. Of course, if listeners, if you forget all that, go over and use that contact form. We'll make sure we get you connected.
Yeah.
But
one
last
question for you, Verwayne. What kind of dog do you have?
Okay. I have 3 dogs. They're all rescue animals. One of them,
the one that was just talking.
He is a cross between a lab, a black lab, and a German Shepherd.
Okay, because he sounded like a husky, as talkative as he was. Those huskies are talkative.
Oh, yes, they are. By gum, they are. Yeah.
And is he available for doing audiobooks?
he would do sound effects.
We're trying to reach the dog market.
Yeah, we do cats a lot for Robert Williscroft, but we need some dogs.
Oh, you heard he has absolutely positively wants to get in on everything. So he's a talker, and what he wanted. Oh, I do have a picture of him here in just a second. Oh. I will post that too. But he's a talker. He'll come up and you're not paying it. I have one here. It's just called Busted. He knows he's not supposed to have. He went and got. My wife had got a spaghetti thing. Heated up some spaghetti, and he went and got it. Got the can out of the garbage, And I come in here in the spare bedroom, and I'm going, Buster, what are you doing? And you can tell the name of it is Busted. And he
doing dog things.
I took it, and he's sitting there going, sorry, boss. I'm sorry, boss. You know, I probably shouldn't have done that, but you can tell he knows he wasn't supposed to be doing that.
On Twitter, Marlena Smith says, "Oh my goodness, the sweet puppy. Rescue fur babies are the best." Yeah, yep. Definitely.
Yes,
I have. That picture should be there in just a second. Yeah, I love rescue dogs. So.
Yeah. Okay, Patricia A. Guthrie, thanks for calling in, author of Legacy of Danger, Eerie Charms of the Short Story, and a whole bunch of other good stuff that we're looking forward to all reading and sharing. We appreciate you joining us on the show today. And Verwayne, thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
it's always fun talking to you. You've got a unique perspective on how to work the business side of indie publishing, and we enjoy your work, and we enjoy learning how you do things as well. So, friend of the show, Verwayne Greenhoe, we appreciate your support, and thanks for coming on again.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Matt.
Marlena.
Verwayne.
I forget all the names, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, I want to remind our listeners that we postponed Kenneth Lindquist. We'll reschedule him probably in about a month or 6 weeks, something like that, as soon as we have some revamped versions of the books available. And next week, Beem?
Next week is Joe Conjo, who joined us on Twitter tonight. So tune in for that. Joe is an author, and this is going to be a fun interview. So tune in.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing. We're looking forward to him giving advice on how to get free books out of Stephen G's. He's he's up to 2 so far. And then the week after that, we've got Sally Cronin. She's an author who's traveled the world, lived here and there, hither and yon, farther and farther away. And we'll be pre-recording her show from Ireland. So we'll be on there, but her parts will be pre-recorded.
But we will be manning the Twitter and whatnot. So tune in for that one. Yeah, Sally's really cool. She's got a great blog. She just did a review of Jazz Baby, which wonderful review, and I'm so grateful for that. She didn't have to. She was already booked on the show, but she did. So I'm thankful for that. I've got a couple more guests lined up, but we're, dotting the I's and crossing the T's on those to get these people on here. So, again, if you want to know who's going to be on, go to freshinkgroup.com, and at the bottom of the homepage, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get all this information in your email box.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to both our guests tonight, Verwayne and Patricia, and thank you to everybody who joined in on Twitter. So we'll talk to you all next week. See ya.
Thank you.
You've been a part of Voice of Indie, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at freshinkgroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.